Last man standing? Impossible odds? Let's do this!
This is the Clucked Chickens, a podcast about Realm Royale. Hey, good afternoon, good evening. How's everybody doing? Welcome to the Clucked Chickens. I'm OctoOG. On one hand, we've got Donut.
Hi.
On the other hand, we have special guest Baggins.
Hi, I'm special.
How's everybody doing this beautiful fun day?
I'm doing good, Mr. Octo and Donut. It's great to be here. Thank you guys.
Hey, it's good to have you. I'm doing pretty good myself.
Oh my god, what a weird week when it comes to Realm Royale.
You're all HRX'd out, Mr. Octo?
Oh my god, I am completely 100% HRX'd out. This week was absolutely crazy. Just getting down to HRX was a little bit crazy because when I left New York, it was snowing. And it started snowing. We were lucky. Sorry, they're coming for me. But
Quickly,
yeah,
stop.
so it started snowing, and we got an earlier flight, the 5 o'clock flight, me and Unicorn Girl, instead of the 8 o'clock flight that we were gonna get. We got on the plane. We were on the runway for about like an hour and a half, de-icing, getting there to get de-iced to finally take off. When we actually landed in Atlanta, around the time we were supposed to land leaving at the 8 o'clock time, we found our 8 o'clock flight was canceled. So, by the skin of our chinny chin chin is how we did it.
Sounds pretty stressful.
Yeah, it was crazy, but it just the whole getting to HRX, getting in there, all the craziness that happened, the tournament deal, like everything. It was very drainful for me. I have no idea how the boys at HiRez did. I have no idea. You have to come next year, Baggins. So do you, Donut, because we need more representation next time.
Definitely. I mean, I told you I could probably fit in your carry-on. I curl up into a ball next time. But,
sort of like a catapult.
I was like, they're curling up into a ball. It's a reference there.
I'll launch myself. I'll launch myself to HRX next time.
Oh god,
I'll do that as well. Actually, I plan to go by catapult.
Yeah, you guys have got to go there. It was a very weird thing. Like, I've been to PAXs, I've been to stuff like that. I've never been to a DreamHack, nor have I been to an HRX, and how they combine them. I don't know if that was how that was, because I don't know what the old one was, but it was very, very interesting to add all. So, okay, everybody. This week we've got a lot of things to talk about. Over the last 2 weeks, we didn't do last week because the only thing that really happened was the Realm community tournaments, and we didn't want to just spend an entire podcast plugging ourselves. We want to talk about the Loot Goblin. We want to talk about HRX, DreamHack, the announcements, the tournament announcements, the Founders Tournament. Qualifying, the HiRez team, talk about like how we talked about the servers and so much like that, trying to get our personal servers for the RealmCom tournaments, the developers panel, the tournament in whole, and then a few other things. So we've got a lot to talk about tonight, so I think we might as well jump right to it. You guys think about that?
Let's do it.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm ready. Let's go.
Okay, so first things first, RealmCom community tournaments. A couple of weeks ago, we were having some fun online. Donut was having fun with us, and we ran into some weird Discord, and someone said, "Hey, Octo, can you do something next Thursday as well?" I'm like, "Yeah, that sounds cool. We could make something up." Then the next day, Giant is on his stream, and people are putting up bits. Hey, maybe you should run a tournament. Giant's like, yeah, let's do it on Friday and Saturday. And it just turned into a, hey, you're doing something, I'm doing something. Shall we do something together? And what is it? 2 weeks later, we have a 600-man Discord. Last week we had a 185, 90-person tournament. What are you guys thinking about this? I mean, Donut, you were sort of on the outside. Baggins sort of came in as well. What do you guys think about the community tournaments?
It was like 24 to 48 hours. We had a completely full sign up. 24 hours, 48 hours from when this thing was even just an idea, this tournament. And 2 days later, we had a fully queued tournament. The signups got packed and full within 2 hours of the signups being live. So that is extremely, extremely awesome compared to looking at the state of the game and the population only 1 or 2 months ago. That we had a tournament with that much of a turnout that fast and that hyped, just because 2 to 3 of us, 2 to 3 streamers got together, had an idea, and ran with it. And the fact that so many people donated so much for the tournament for prize money, just to increase the fun level of it and the competitive level of it, I think it's amazing, and I can't wait to see where it goes in the upcoming weeks.
No, Baggins, you woke up the next morning and this was, I'm guessing, all over you, that you were like, what the F is going on?
What, the
tournament?
The tournament scenes somebody's bringing up?
Yeah.
Well, people kept coming into chat and be like, Baggins, you playing in the tournament? I'm like, what tournament? Like, the community tournament, Baggins. Haven't you heard? It's all the news. I'm like, what? Did HiRez put on a tournament again? But no, apparently just you guys like rallied the 5,000 and everybody. I mean, I think it's like there has been a craving for tournaments in Realm for a long time since they stopped the 10Ks. And I think it makes sense. Like, in my opinion, Realm Royale tournaments and Realm Royale esports just in general is some of the best Battle Royale esports I've ever seen. It's just, I don't know, it just works really well. Just the way the gameplay mechanics function. And obviously there's a big craving for that, and it's become pretty popular. So
yeah, no,
as actually playing in it as well on Saturday, I was surprised because I thought the current state of the game with the bots and the high RNG, it wouldn't be very competitive. But it's gotta be said, those games that I played, they were flipping difficult, man. There was a lot of really good players in there. It was actually it was hard. It was tricky. So
yeah, we have some really good players in this, and it's kind of amazing. So just so everybody knows, if you haven't heard about this, it's a weekly run tournament, and it's done on Thursdays, which I host, and Hunj Kodo does as well, and maybe sometimes in the future Baggins will be hosting. And on Saturdays, Gentle Giant hosts them, and it's a large community of people. It's 100% run and prize donated by the community. The admin team we have right now is 1HP. We have Baggins, we have Gentle Giant, Hunj Kodo, Mouse Purge, myself, Oni Light, Mike Perception, and the Dueler. So it's us, sort of 9 people really in the core, putting this thing together for you guys each week. We're having a lot of fun doing it. It's a little crazy. We don't get things right all the time, but we're doing the best that we can as we're at. We've run 2 tournaments so far, and last week we had a tournament of 194 total players. So that was a lot of fun, and we were like, it was absolutely amazing with how it came together and how it's running. And we have another tournament this weekend, this Saturday. So we'll be getting information out there. If you're part of that Discord, we'll go from there.
I also, just so you guys know, everyone in the chat right now, I did link the Discord link for the community tournament. So if you want to get into it, look at it, maybe get involved and get into one of these tournaments, click that link and it'll take you right to the Discord channel for them.
Exactly. So I don't want to sit too much on that because we got a lot to talk about. Another thing that happened last Thursday, right before we were heading off to HRX, this little sneaky loot goblin popped up. Baggy, do you want to sort of talk about this loot goblin and what you've been seeing?
I mean, when I mean, again, it sounds like the whole tournament thing again, but people told me, like, the first thing I heard, I was in Gentle's stream, actually, because I wasn't playing that night, And they kept talking about how like Gentle killed the loot goblin. I'm like, are they referring to like some sort of bot, or is somebody like going out and sharding all his stuff? You know, when somebody like sneaks into the forge and shards your stuff. And I don't know. I was just like, I was completely confused because there was no word about it at all from HiRez. It was just like suddenly the loot goblin was in the game. And it was like a sort of thing that you have to see it to believe it. I almost kind of wish that nobody did tell me, and then I just played a game, because I can imagine if you didn't know and you just hear that laughing, you'd be like, what the hell? Like, is there a clown that's come to kill me or something? But yeah, I think he's a really cool mechanic, and I'm glad that we finally get to see, because he's been frolicking around on that main menu for like 3 weeks now. So I'm glad he's finally in the game, and we can, you know, lay a bit of a smackdown into him.
Agreed. When I first heard him, it really freaked me out a little bit. I was like, I completely forgotten that he was been put in the game. Got into a game and I hear, I'm like, what the hell's going on around here? But yeah, so yeah, it was a lot of fun. But for those of you who don't know, it was put in the game last Thursday. As you get closer, you hear sort of this laugh. And if you look carefully on the ground, if you don't get too close, you can see sort of little shadows sitting on the ground. He then spawns, pops out of the ground, and he stays there for a few seconds. It gives you, you know, you could start getting some wax in there. And then he starts running away from you. As he runs and you hit him, he drops 5-pack of shards. So you run, go after him, try and catch him. Once he's damaged enough, he sort of pops all of his loot and drops back into the ground, disappears. And basically, it's the equivalent or a little bit more of an air drop, but it has a pack of shards with it as well. So it's a kind of cool, it's a very cool mechanic, by the way, but it's also a very dangerous one, because you're hitting there, shooting, banging, doing all those things, and people are seeing you. They'll watch you pop him, and then they'll pop you. Have you been camped on these things yet, Baggins?
No, actually, I've done the camping many a time. Actually, it feels pretty evil. Like you chicken them. I chicken them, and then I finish off the loot goblin, because he has a timed mechanic as well. If you don't kill him, he just to the ground and he keeps all the loot. So I'll chicken the player that was killing him, kill the loot goblin in front of them, take all the stuff, and then finish the chicken. And I feel like, you know, it's like a really evil thing to do, but yeah. It's yeah, it is a super like dead giveaway when you hear just like, you know, just all these guns blazing in the distance and this like laughing and stuff. Yeah, and then you just run over and like, oh well, I'm gonna get myself a kill, because then usually they've been firing all the ammo and they get a reload, and you can just, you know, get the initiative on them. So they are high risk, but definitely high reward as well. It's a cool mechanic. I like it.
Yeah, it is a lot of fun. I love it. Now to a little bit more detail. So when we were down at HRX, I sat down with one of the head guys, the lead technical director, Mick, and I asked him exactly how does the loot goblin work, and he was like, well, basically it scales. It's a scaled creep. So depending on if you're solos, duos, or squads, and what type of weapon you actually have in your inventory, it'll scale its HP to that. So if you have a gray slug or something like that, if you hit him with that, the time to kill, the damage sort of to kill versus if you have like a sniper rifle or a fire axe, it will take the same amount of time to kill that loot goblin with the fire axe or if you have all great equipment. So their idea is they want that level of effort and that time to kill to be the same. So he's not got a set HP. He has a scaling HP that sort of runs.
That's a very smart way to do the loot goblin, but I wouldn't have even thought of that.
Yeah, when I thought about it, I actually asked Mick the question. I was like, hey, so that means if I have a gray crossbow and a fire axe, I should be able to hit him with the crossbow and then spam him really fast with the fire axe, and he should go down a lot quicker. And he goes, nope. It actually looks at all the weapons that you have and makes the calculation of the worst damage that you could possibly do to this guy. And the first damage. So when you headshot him with a fire sniper rifle, it bumps that HP way up. It's like, whoa, okay, fine. It's going to take you a lot longer to kill this guy.
That's a smart goblin.
Yeah. I
noticed
go ahead, sorry.
one of the most efficient ways I've found to kill him so far is like anything with a frost element on though, because you can't CC, which is like pretty nice. You just get in with a frost alien rifle or like longbow, and you just plink the arrows out. Or the sword is actually really effective against him as well, because like obviously, like when he takes damage, he starts running. I don't know. I think you know a little bit about how far he runs until he stops. There's like a timed limit on it. Like, but yeah, the frost longsword seems to be pretty effective at goblin slaying.
Yeah, it is very nice. I love the heirloom rifle because he just doesn't get a chance to run away, especially if you've got blink or something like that. You're right on him at the entire time. How do you like the loot?
I think I mean like everything in Realm right now, it is subject to RNG. Sometimes it's crazy good. I like the fact that he can drop 2 of things. It's pretty cool, especially in squads. Like getting 2 runes out of it. Is that's 2 more chances to get that armor regen rune and win the game. So yeah, I think the double drops is pretty nice.
Yeah. Donut, have you gotten a chance to murder this guy yet?
Oh yeah, definitely. I like it a lot. Again, like Baggins said, it is still subject to RNG. So much like crafting at the forge, what you'll get depends on how lucky you are at that moment. So, but I do love the fact that he's in the game. I love his mechanics. I love how they made him. So, good on HiRez for adding the loot goblin.
We will talk about sort of some thoughts of where HiRez is starting to think about, because I did get at some sort of tidbits of what they're trying to do with other type of NPCs in the game. Type of NPCs that might be coming up, but we'll talk about that in a second. Have
you guys ever like, I don't know if you guys or somebody in chat, I remember somebody asking, I don't know what happens if you concussion bomb or blast arrow him into the ocean. Do you guys know what happens there? I assume he just like all the loot pops out of him and then it goes into the water and disappears. But I've never had that interaction actually yet, so I was just wondering if.
Yeah, I've never seen him close enough to the water to even think about doing something like that.
I think we should go to lower graveyard, and try this out.
I think some science has got to be done.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you're probably right, Banks. He probably drops you see all his items pop out in the water. You'll probably see the little animation of him like burrowing down somewhere down there in the water, or he'll just keep falling forever and he'll be gone.
Yeah, that'll be fun to for someone to try this week. As we were saying, the loot goblin is a little bit bugged though, and everybody knows that he's a little bit bugged. So there's two big things that are going on right now. If you pop the loot goblin on a hill or on any incline, he'll not go back into the ground. So you don't really kill the loot goblin. You just sort of scare him. Okay, that's enough. Take all my stuff, and he goes back into the ground. And where on an incline, he can't really do that. So he'll just sort of sit on the side of the mountain while you grab and steal all of his loot around him. The second bug that we have is if you drop an offhand ability like a mine or a concussion bomb on his shadow before he comes up, he'll pop immediately. And it just sort of goes like all over the place. And he's still under the ground. So if you go over there and start hitting the ground, you can pop him again and he'll run away and drop another spawn of loot. I think they're hot fixing this from what we're hearing. Yeah, this is a pretty big bug right now. Have you, Baggins, you've tried to do it, but you haven't been able to do it, right?
Yeah, it's one game. I saw it. I concussion bombed the shadow, and he instantly dropped the loot. But then I couldn't do like the second time around. But I got like the instant loot the first time, so I can understand like. It is. I mean, that's obviously. I think the loot goblin was designed in mind to drop one set of loot. 2 set of loot that's maybe a little bit too much.
Yeah. No, it's a little crazy. It's a little crazy.
That's a big spike. So
yeah, even the ability to make him drop the loot instantaneously instead of that chase, that eliminates the risk out of the risk reward factor. So it's a little unfair to people who could just instantly make him drop all of his stuff. Yeah. And then if you could do that and then make him spawn again on top of that, yeah, they need to hot fix that.
Yep. Okay, so tournaments, loot goblin. It's pretty much not what everybody really wants to come here for. I'm pretty sure. most people probably want to talk about this little thing called DreamHack or HRX and all the fun stuff that happened with us. And so I figured, why don't we jump into that and sort of talk about what happened. So I'm gonna do a small little story time, and you guys can jump in whenever you want. But I want to just sort of talk about what's happened, and you guys can sort of bug me as much as you want. Oh, Octo, you're skipping this. Tell me about this, and I'll do the best to answer everything that I can about what happened this week. So the first thing I want to say is walking into DreamHack was an awful experience. Just walking in to get in there was terrible. The DreamHack organization, whoever put it on, just was terrible. You walk in, there's this huge line in front of a bunch of metal detectors. We're like, okay, what lane do we need to be in? They're like, no lane, get over there. We're not opening. We're not even going to start getting people in until 10. And everybody's freaking out because there's 1,000 people there and there's stuff that's starting at 10:30. There were people that were supposed to compete. They weren't letting even the competitors in. They're like, no, if you don't have this, you can't get in. Then once we did, like at 9:30, I went down and complained, and I was like, get your manager over here. Let's talk. That's my type of person.
You're that guy.
Yeah, I'm that guy. Because I wanted to be down. I wanted to be in front to hear this awesome, amazing Realm Royale news. I wanted to be there. So I was like, no. So finally they let us inside. They started queuing us up at 9:30. Baggins, your British sensibility loved it. They queued perfectly. It was nice straight lines.
Oh, man, I'm just God. The details. I need more.
So we finally got in, and when we got in, they were like, okay, now you've got your paper ticket, but that doesn't mean anything. So now you have to go downstairs. You have to go get a wristband for 3 days. So now we have to wait in another line to get a wristband to then.
Whoa, another queue? Man, this sounds like my event.
Well, hey, don't get excited yet, because after that queue, we had to get into another queue to get into the actual HRX area. They weren't opening the doors till exactly 10, so it was like one queue.
They had lines for the lines for the final line.
Exactly. So it was very crazy. So we got
it almost sounds like the early access 12 patch of Realm, where you queue for the priority queue and then you go into a game.
Yeah, then you missed the
somebody
first
sticks
queue.
Priority on you, and you get to go into the next queue and wait for that one.
That's where they got the idea. I'm pretty sure, 100%. So we walk in and they open the gate, and Unicorn Girl and I'm like, okay, we've got to get in here. We've got to get in here and figure out what's going on. So we run in and we're like, okay, where's the HRX announcement? They're like, what HRX announcement? They're going to talk about all the games. They're like, well, the HRX area is over there. So at the far end of the hall, there's this huge area. And so we run over there. And as soon as we run over there, this is what we're greeted with. If you can't see on the screen, there's the right-hand side, or the left hand, which is closer to us, which look to be set up for paladins. You see the paladins trophies sitting right here. We then over here, this is for oh god, why am I drawing a blank? Smite. So the Smite tournament. So they've got this whole area over here set up for Smite, and you saw the Smite trophy. You have all these production guys, everybody ready, and this HiRez presents 13 minutes and 13 seconds. And I'm like, okay, guys, where are they going to be actually presenting this? And I'm expecting people to show up, stand on the stage, and be like, hey guys, let's talk about what's going on. That makes sense, Baggins? Don't it? That's what you expect?
Yeah. I mean, they've got a big stage, so why not?
It looks like a presentation. Yeah, it looks like a presentation stage.
So I'm going, guys, where is this? Well, they said it's not here because according to the app we have, that it's the presentation for HiRez Presents is over there. So I said, Unicorn Girl, save us a seat here. I'll be right back. So I go to that place, and it turns out to be just a whole bunch of stream stations. And I'm like, that's not happening. So I run back, and we start asking every production staff member there, where's the presentation? They said, we don't know, but it'll be presented here as on here. I'm like, okay, well, which side are they going to be on? are the Smite people going to talk over there, and the Paladins people talking over here, and is HiRez going to be in the middle, or what's going on? No idea. So the timer gets down to like 2 minutes, and then it jumps back up to another 7 minutes, because I think they sort of skipped it forward because not a lot of people were getting in because of the lines and the metal detectors and so forth like that. And we finally, so we're here. So I'm on stream. I'm talking to everybody on Discord. Guys, there's a little bit delay. We don't see a delay. We see everything. Well, blah, blah, blah. And then we're like, okay, we're just going to sit here and hopefully things will happen. And then all of a sudden the screens pop up and we see exactly what you guys are seeing on the stream is a pre-recorded message of the Paladins announcement. Now, were you guys, Donut Baggins, is that what you guys were expecting?
No.
It was all pretty weird.
Yeah.
I don't want to BM too much because I don't know who's. I guess I'm not naming any names. Obviously, there was multiple tweets that went out on the Twitter. It's like, hey, the announcements realm, you don't want to miss out. Look at the stuff in the future, like over and over again over a space of like 3 or 4 days. Come to mixer.com/Realm Royale. I couldn't find out if it was going to be on Twitch. Like nobody would tell me. So I set up my stream to stream the stream, and I go to mixer.com/Realm Royale, and the channel is just like dead, like nothing's going on there. I'm like, what the heck? And 5 minutes goes by, 10 minutes go by. It turns out they ended up streaming it on mixer.com/Paladins game.
Yep.
I mean, it's like, how are you supposed to know? And they didn't tweet it. They put it in they didn't tweet a new announcement for that. They subtweeted, so they did a response to the tweet. So it's like super confusing to know where to go. Twitch.tv/Realm Royale. That channel is down as well. Apparently it's on twitch.tv/HiRez TV. And it's under the category of Smite. So anybody who's looking for specific Realm news, if you look on the Realm Royale part for the Twitch on Mixer directory, you don't see it anywhere. You have to go to look for Smite or Paladins to then find the relevant announcements. It's all terribly laid out.
So you were having the same problem of me, and I was there.
Yeah, you're having the physical version of it.
Yeah. So
just poor marketing and PR by I think them, but not poor, but maybe some misjudgments.
Yeah, it's just I think now here's the other thing. Now let's go to the other side. The production that they had going here for the Paladins and the Smite was unbelievable. They had the caster's desk, they had the lighting, they had everything going. It was absolutely beautiful. So I'm guessing they were so worried about, let's get these tournaments of these 2 big platforms done, that a lot of these things dropped to the wayside. That's how I see what happened.
Yeah, I watched the full, or almost the full Paladins World Championships, and the production was pretty good. There's a couple hiccups here and there, but you could definitely tell. But compared to what you were streaming from the Realm Royale side and the Realm Royale tournaments alone, you could definitely tell they spent way more focus and time on the Paladins and Smite side compared to any kind of Realm Royale announcements or tournaments.
Yeah. So now I want to talk about now I'm sitting there. Unicorn Girl and I are sitting there. I'm like a kid in a candy shop. I'm like, okay, you know what? Fine. It's gonna be a video thing. I'm ready, and I've got my phone ready. I'm like, I'm gonna pretend I'm gonna be a little reporter here, a little Clucked reporter, and the first news of Paladins came out, and I was like, oh my god, come on, this is like the coolest thing ever. I'm like, okay, this is gonna be a day. I played Paladins a little bit, and I was like, oh my god, I cannot wait for this. I was psyched. Yeah. I was hyped.
They were like, there's a new battle pass like every 2 months or something insane. 6 new champions, new champion dropping right now, new map. Yeah, if you open your pizza tray, there'll be if you open your disc tray, there'll be a slice of pizza. Exactly. All this crazy, unbelievable stuff.
I was dancing in my chair, and I mean, they were these foldy chairs. I couldn't dance too well because it made a lot of noise, but it was. I was like, okay, this is great. Then it was like, okay, Realm Royale, and it pops up on the screen, and I'm like, oh my god, I'm ready. I swear to God, I blinked and the Realm Royale news was over. I think I sneezed and I missed some of it. Did somebody catch some of it that I didn't catch?
I don't think I saw it at all.
They sandwiched the announcement between the two videos. So you've already old videos, by the way, with the engineer have featured in them. The actual announcements itself was shorter than the two videos either side of it. They bulked it out with those videos. I was like, oh man.
Well, it was because with the Paladins and Smite stuff on both sides, it was like, okay, Paladins, huge news, awesome news, huge change, crazy cool video. Realm Royale, old video, no news. Smite, cool news, epic video. It was just like it completely got faded away.
Merlin and Arthur. I don't even play Smite, and I know Merlin and Arthur because they put so much information in it. Oh, by the way, talking about old news, okay? By the way, did you notice that we have the blast rifle on the PS4 card?
Yeah, they really gotta update some of that stuff. Like everything about Realm is like outdated.
Yeah, they need some
it's
new
like
artwork.
Engineers everywhere, and the other trailer, it's got like a rocket launcher.
The rocket launcher,
that was never even in the game when it launched on Steam. The rocket launcher was like in super closed alpha. I don't understand.
Yeah. So I mean, I guess again, we know what they're working on. We know they don't have time to do all this, but it was kind of funny. But back to. I was sitting in this chair right here. This chair right here. I sat there in stunned silence going, what in God's name just happened? And I know everybody was because all of a sudden, just Discord, Twitter, everybody was just like, oh my God. And I know, Baggins, I know you were like in kind of shock. Because I sort of tuned over to you, and I tuned over to Baggins at the same. Or I'm sorry, you and Baggins and Giant. I tuned over to both of you guys just to see the reaction, and I've never seen more depression on anybody's face like that than I've seen in a long time. Your hair even drooped.
I just had to end my stream because it was too sad. Yeah. So I had to go host Gentle, and he's just there like this, like. And I'm like, yep.
No. Okay, we are talking about this stuff. There is better news after this, but right now I was in a pretty interesting state. Then I got a little more hyped up about the actual Smite stuff. I was like, I've been looking to try and play Smite for the last month, and I'm like, oh my God, you know what? I think I really want to try this. And now with all this cool stuff, I was like, oh yeah, I want to play Smite, yeah! And I was thinking, wow, it looks like I'm going to be streaming a new game. Yeah, like there are people still in line at this point in time, still in line trying to get into HRX and DreamHack at this time.
Now, to piggyback that, what you just said there, I want to point out that most likely, knowing DreamHack and DreamHack's record, this wasn't HiRez's fault. The organization and the lines, that was most likely DreamHack and
that's
their
100%
organizers. So they have a track record for having a terrible organized event.
Yeah, no, I can tell you 100%. Once HRX and once HiRez got their mitts on stuff, they were running it nice. I mean, the entire rest of the day, the days were really nice. But let's then go and talk about the next beautiful thing that happened, because this sort of made it even worse. So I stepped up from there and I went over to see all the Realm Royale stuff, because they had really cool, they had like these free play Realm Royale, and there were a lot of people coming in. And everybody's like, hey, these guys, have you ever played Realm Royale before? Like, yeah, I've played it. No, you got to come play it. No, it's okay. No, play it. Okay, fine. And it's like, win. Solo win. I mean, it was that quick. They were like, wow, you really catch on to this. I'm like, no, I've played it a couple of times. I got up, finished that, and was walking away, and my phone goes off, and a tweet comes out. And I'm like, what's this? 25K tournament. What? Swipe, and I'm like, wait, what? And now I look in front of me, and there's this huge like square of like, it was 100 and something PCs, Alienware PCs, amazing monitors, all walled up, and they're like, yeah, they're going to be having a tournament here. come and try. First and second place gets whoever comes in first and second place in each game gets to compete in this 25K tournament. Then my phone and Discord just start like erupting in fire and brimstone. Giant is just like roar. I mean, it just I was like, I was feeling guilty because Unicorn Girl said you got to get in there and compete, and I'm like, I don't want these guys yelling at me. Now, I mean, Baggins, if you would have known that there would have been this tournament, would you have flown over?
Probably still no, because it's like just the initial, like it's so much money to fly over there. Like,
for you specifically, that's
thousands of English pounds. I would have to win the tournament to make the money back that I would lose flying over there, and also lose because I'm not working, I'm not streaming, I'm not making content.
Let's put it this way. If it was in your country and it was only a short flight from where you are now, where'd you go?
Yeah, if I was somebody like Gentle, absolutely, I would go. Like, yeah, the chance that, like, I mean, coming first for each round was like $1,000, and then first overall is $20,000. Like, you know, maybe you just come first one round, $1,000. I'm sure that would probably cover the cost of fuel. So
yeah.
And just the chance, the spectacle as well of, like, you know, being in the Founders Tournament for Realm Morale. Like, absolutely, if I was in the States.
Yeah, Giant was actually on the other side of the country, so it would have been a bit for him to get there. But yeah, no, it was crazy. But so now there is more about this tournament in the announcements, and we will talk about it later. Just we're going to continue on sort of the timeline. Unicorn Girl says, you know what, get in there and compete. And I'm like, you know what? I can get this. I mean, there are people here that have zero idea of how to play this game. Maybe I might have a chance with my awesome realm skills to play. So both of you stop laughing right now.
I was just thinking about some things funny.
I was laughing.
So I get in there, and I'm standing in the front of the line, and this guy comes up behind me, and they said, you need a duos partner. I turned to this guy behind me. I'm like, hey, and he had this really he had this low cut shirt, purple. He had this awesome cane. He was like really like gangster freaking pimp guy. And I was like, hey, have you ever played this game? He's like, yeah. And I said, would you like to be my duo partner? Sure. Hi, my name's Octo. He's like, Octo? He's like, I'm Mr. AWOL. And he was just in our tournament last week, and I knew him, and I was like, whoa! And so we
awesome.
Teamed up, jumped in there, and started playing. And honest to God, the first two matches we had, we didn't have comms, and we had the same headsets that I have. You cannot hear anything, so I could talk to you right beside me. So we had no comms, and it was just terrible. We got like 12th place and 9th place because we just couldn't talk throughout the entire game. And we kept both games. We got killed by some amazing players. I was like, whoa! I didn't know what was going on. So third game, I was like, I actually said I was done, not going to do this, because there were some real good pros that were just coming out of the woodwork. Unicorn says, one more. I'm like, okay, fine. I sit down right here, turn around right there, and our boy Kefri is sitting right there. And I'm like, well, that's it. I don't even know what I'm doing here. Well,
the games, by the way, were the qualifiers, were they just online servers, or all of it was LAN?
They were all custom servers, which made it really cool, because it was cool. Like, you typed round one, you typed the password in, and everybody was like, oh my god, here we go. And you just jumped to the server. I would kill
for that technology right now.
Oh god, we'll talk about that next, because oh my god, it was amazing. Just how it worked, I was drooling for it. But anyways, so we're sitting there. Kefri's behind me. There's two people from Space Station Gaming. There's some people from some Paladins pros. We're just surrounded. And I'm like, well, that was fun. Let's go for it. So we jump in and play, and it was a fun game. We were like there's like 14 people left, and we're playing around, and I got my poison pistol. You know, that's the only thing in the game that makes me play okay. There's a team coming at us, And I come up and I'm like, oh great, we've got to watch these two. So we're up on the hill in the desert, and all of a sudden I hear behind me. I'm like, wait, what's that? And I turn around and assassin's running up the hill. I'm like, okay, and basically I just unloaded a poison pistol on this person. They just poof, they were gone. It was pretty quick and easy. Then I hear screaming behind me over here, and I hear Josh laughing. And AWOL starts going crazy because it looks like I just killed Kefri. So that was fun. I mean, again, I find out later that his teammate had died. He was had no weapons, nothing. He just was in the desert trying to get away, and that makes sense. I don't think I would have killed him at any other time, but it was cool to say I killed him. And then we actually made it on to get in third place. And we were it was first, second, and third that round, so we made it in. So
did you emote when you killed him, Octo?
I wouldn't. I didn't know that. I had already run away, and I wouldn't do that. That's not my style of play. But it was kind of cool.
I'm gonna order you a nice golden plaque to hang on your wall. Say OctoOG killed Kefri once.
By the way, I got to tell you, after that, I walked up to him. I was like, man, I'm sorry. And he was like, it's cool, man. And he was actually, what a really cool guy. We talked for a couple of minutes, and we were talking about how it had happened. He's like, yeah, I was coming up. He was trying to get us two groups to come together and kill each other while he killed us from behind. And it just didn't happen. He's like, it didn't work. I was like, that's cool. And then actually the next round, him and his other teammate showed up, the TSM guy, and I watched them play and get in, and we sort of all high-fived and, good job, you made it in. And I was like, now I don't think I'm going to have any chance of winning. So, it was a little fun. But, yeah, that was pretty cool.
Awesome.
So this is where things started getting cool. Okay, I'd been depressed. Okay, yes, I got into this tournament, but a lot of people were sort of yelling. So I met J Nash and I met Red, and we started talking. And I was like, dude, I really, really would like to be able to get a hold of one of these custom servers. And he says, I actually know. And then we started talking about sort of the technology of it. And I talked to Red, and Red was like, you know what? Here's my card. Let's see what we can do about getting you guys these servers. Okay, so they were really, really into us getting them. One of the things with the servers right now is you have to do there's no GUI to sort of click and make it all happen. You actually have to put in an index type. You have to code it. So, and it's not professionally put together to where anybody could use it. So they're saying, we've got to get it to a point that we can get it there so that everybody can actually come in and use it. But they said, if anybody is going to test this, if anybody's going to be given first access, it will be the RealmCom community and us. Nice. So they pretty much said that right out. And it was really nice of them to do this. This is day one, where they go, you know what? I think we could do something for you guys. And I was like, holy crap, really? I wasn't expecting that. And so right now, right at this point, it's, okay, we think we can do it. We think we can get it to you. We're going to have to figure out a couple, in a bit to get it to a point where you can use it. But let's see what we can do to give it to you.
That's great.
Awesome.
Yeah. That is awesome. I cannot wait.
Yeah. So I'm pretty sure I honestly have 100% confidence that they're going to let us use this. They just have to get it to a point where we can't break it too much. And, they are doing a few things right now, but they know that we really need it and we can really use it. So they're working to try and get us to it ASAP. So it's really nice of them, and it's really good.
Sweet.
So Baggins Donut, any questions about day one of what I've been talking about? Is there anything that you guys want to know about what happened, how things were set up?
Mine's a little controversial, but I just real quick want to get your opinion on the whole big Jumbotron fiasco that was going on during the tournament. What do you think? How do you feel?
Let's get to day 3 and we'll talk about that.
Okay.
Yeah, day one is it's not there yet.
Oh yeah, you're right. Yeah, it was for the finals, right?
Yeah, definitely. And Raisin, I agree 100%. He is so handsome. That hair.
That-
I don't know how you do. I can't even like.
I could never do it. Yeah, no. I could never have Baggins hair.
It doesn't work. Yeah.
Okay, so
regular sacrifices.
So day 2 was really amazing because the morning, 1 HP, Incision, Shady Prism, Mr. AWOL, Undesolated, Crippler, Brandok, Stoker, everybody of the community just showed up. And seeing them, talking to them, meeting them was absolutely amazing. 1 HP is just like such a nice guy. Shady, just so like a really smart guy. Oh my god. AWOL, crazy. Brandok's tall and just really nice guy as well. Toker, exactly what I thought he would look like. Crippler, well, Crippler was Crippler. I'm not going to say anything more about Crippler because, Crippler was absolutely a great guy. He lives actually probably like 20 minutes away from me here, so really good guy. So that morning, Unicorn Girl and I walk in, and the first thing we see is Thor. And it was really cool. I walked up to him.
Notice Octo says the first thing they see.
He was a wall. He's a giant monster of a wall. I mean,
big slab of muscle.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I could hang off of each arm. Like, he could do this and hang me and Unicorn off each arm. But one of the big things I really liked about Thor, and to be honest, he was such a great personality. He was smiling, he was engaging, he was just a nice person altogether. I didn't expect that from him, and he was just such a great person. Well, what do you think? You're laughing there, Baggins. What is your thought?
No, that was nice. I don't know. It's when you say you didn't expect. You like expected him to be like, I don't know.
To be 100% honest, I mean, he's got a big following. He's been around the area for a while. There's a lot of people that are coming up and saying hi to him. There's a lot of people that are talking to him. You expect him to be like, hey, it's nice to talk to you, blah, 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 walk away. Nice to talk to you, blah, blah, blah.
I think he was going to wear like a baseball cap and like some shaded glasses.
I don't think that would work. I mean, to put all that hair away. No.
And also just to hide his massive physique. I can't imagine there's too many other people.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No, he took the time for each person. I actually had easily a 15-minute conversation, and we walked down to the floor together. I mean, he was just a really nice guy, and it was a lot more than I expected from him. It was just more than I expected, and it was a really cool meeting. So, but we'll talk about what Thor does later. That made me not love him as much.
He's in the bad books.
Yeah. So again, I went down directly to the and I was watching all the guys try out for the community tournament, or not the community, but the founders tournament. So I was there rooting them all on and stuff like that. While I was doing that, one of the refs and the person that was sort of setting up everything, I was actually sitting around by that computer and watching how they set the thing up. And I was asking questions, how do you set these custom lobbies up? And after Josh had talked to her, he's saying, we're going to try and get them. She was like really helpful. He's like, okay, you do this, this is how we work it, and blah, blah, blah. So that was a lot of fun. I got a lot of information ready. So, hey, if I'm going to set this thing up, if I'm going to run it, I want to know how it's done. We cheered on our community, and everybody got in. Every single player got in. They had to go a few rounds. There were some, the players that were there that day were absolutely murderous. They were some just the top players all over the place. I don't know if you guys had seen, did you guys hear about how the tournaments ran and how teams were calling in each of their pro players and sending them down?
No, I didn't hear that.
Yeah, I know G2 and Kanga, and I can't remember the other names, but yeah, I know there was like esports organizations being represented basically.
I knew a few people flew down last minute personally to go compete. I didn't know any actual organizations were sending people.
Yeah, they brought a lot down. They brought a whole lot down. They were all over the place, and it was really interesting. They were in all their gear, and I'm like, I'm saying, like, I saw Toker sitting next to like some really pro players. The same with Crippler, Brandox, all of them. Like right beside either side of them, they were some of like huge names. Cuss from Paladins. Him and his girlfriend were trying out. It was absolute craziness. So then it was time for the dev panel, and I asked Jay Nash. I was like, "Hey man, the community is wondering where is it going to be streamed because they really want to see this." And he said, "You know what? Let me check." And he said, "Yeah, it's not actually being streamed." I was like, "Ooh, is it okay if I stream it?" And he said, "Well, let me find out." And so he sent a few texts and emails, and about half an hour later, we get they'll let you stream it. So I was like, "Oh, great, cool." So we went over to myself, Thor, Unicorn Girl, and a bunch of other people went over to meet the devs, or not the devs, like some people like the HiRez folks. Dry Bear was there. I shook his hand. He was definitely busy talking to a lot of people. And then we were like, okay, we got to go find this dev panel. And so we run upstairs and try and find it, and we can't find it. And then I find, I think it was Dry Bear and Nash, Dry Bear and Thor trying to find the room, and they finally find it because they didn't even know where it was at. So we finally go in to this room, and there's not that many people there. I think we had a total of 25 people in the audience, sort of listening. And then I set up my little so that you guys know the technical problems I had. I have a stabilizer. And I was trying to stabilize, have power, get it in the right place, and do it at the same time. And the stabilizer wasn't enjoying it, so I ended up having to actually hold it for the thing. But so I think
first world problems.
Yeah. But then all of a sudden, my stream just starts going crazy about what's going on, blah 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 blah, and I'm like, hey, just calm down, guys. I can't talk. Listen, and for those of you who have not seen it. Baggins, could you do me a favor? Could you sort of explain what you saw while you saw it? Because as me being there, I saw some other things. But what did you see while you were watching this?
What, in terms of what I took away from what they talked about?
Exactly.
I made a little text document to go on the key points. The first thing was that Mitch talked about is they are super focused on console, PS4 and Xbox. That's the goal right now, making sure everything goes well over there. They like the way the Loot Goblin is working in the game currently, and they would consider maybe adding more NPCs like the Loot Goblin in the future. And then they talked Chuck, the art director, talked about how they would like to add new game modes. I mean, it was all very vague, but stuff that they think you could see in the future of Realm. That's kind of as much as I remember, really. It was a lot of focus, talk about console, the Loot Goblin NPC mechanic, and potential game modes in the future, but not really much else outside of that.
Donut, do you feel sort of the same way?
Yeah. Aside from the extra little bonus at the end of the panel that you had, I don't want to talk about. I'll let you talk about that towards the end of this conversation. But yeah, same way. I was also listening to it. I was doing some chores around the house, so I kind of was phasing in and out. I was just gonna rewatch the whole thing towards the end.
The thing that I really got. Oh, go ahead.
They also mentioned. I remember now. They talked to somebody asked her, I think Jane, they had pre-scripted questions or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
One of them was why did the engineer go away, which is a question people ask, and they said 5 classes they felt was too many, and they wanted to keep it more focused and more controlled, so they dropped it down to 4 classes. An engineer had the least direction, in terms of obviously what he was in terms of a class, so that's why he got dropped.
Did you?
And I think that's probably.
I'll give you a secret. There's another reason why the engineer was dropped.
Because he was broken?
No, he was my favorite champion.
Yeah, but that's because he was broken. Okay, he's a walking 5 venom pistol.
So what actually was one of the other reasons is his ability didn't work on Xbox or a console.
Oh.
Because somebody jumping straight up completely screws the sort of the planier of a console. So one of the things I was talking to them, they're like, yeah, you can't. The plane of Xbox is very this and just a little bit up. When an engineer is right beside you and goes up, moving that joystick up and trying to get looking straight up is almost impossible for the Xbox, and therefore, or any console. So they had to get it out of there because it didn't work like that.
That's interesting.
So
console killed engineer is what you're saying, Octo.
Yep.
Console killed engineer.
Thanks a lot, console players.
Thanks,
go,
console.
chat.
There you go.
Ruined.
Just let you know. Another thing that at the very beginning, and I really think this is kind of where they wanted to go, was we had no idea what the F was going to happen when we put this little tiny game up on Steam. We had no idea that Ninja, Shroud, Summit, and these people would blow this entire thing up. They actually didn't make codes to make it a limited closed because they just didn't think that many people were going to be on it. They expected it to somewhere be around 5,000 to 10,000 people, and max that we're going to even be seeing this, and they could play around with it as much as possible. And then this happened.
It was pretty insane. I was playing it before it was on Steam, and there was maybe like 300 people playing it. Like that was it. And then it like went to like 1,000, and then 10,000, and then 50,000. I'm like, holy Jesus, this is pretty crazy.
Yeah. I mean, I was sitting at work, and Unicorn Girl was watching, I think, Ninja's stream. And she called me up and she says, you've got to get on Ninja's stream. I'm like, why? He's playing this new game. What do you mean? If you get killed, you turn into a chicken. I'm like, what? And I'm like, I flipped that thing on, and I saw it. I laughed my butt off, and I was like, okay. I came home and I downloaded it immediately. And I think that's what the world did. And so they were pretty much saying, listen, we're sorry that we were not expecting this. We love all you. And they were trying. I feel like if I was Dry Bear, this is what he was trying to say is, guys, we love you. We want it. We're trying to make a really, really good game. Way too many people got in here, started playing our game, and we weren't expecting it. And the game wasn't even ready to be done. It wasn't finished yet. Guys, we're trying to make a good game for you guys, but please just let us do it. And I think that's pretty much what that dev panel was kind of about. That's how I feel.
Yeah, and I think it's also, there's like a question that comes up occasionally, like, why didn't I get a code, or why are they not inviting more people? Because clearly more people want to play. It's like, well, for the same reason, like they could potentially have the same numbers, maybe even more on console. And that first impression is very important, because you know you got to make sure the game's at a good point. Like if you just do PC all over again on console, then that's your player base. They come and they go. So you got to try and keep them there, and you got to make sure the game's in a good state.
Yeah, they definitely don't want to do the same thing. Not that they did anything, but they don't want the same thing that happened twice.
All right. So as I was like super excited to go, and the announcement brought me down, me getting into the tournament brought me up a little bit. Seeing some of the guys out there, I was a little bit on a high. I head on over to this dev panel, and I started making a little dip down. Because, I mean, it was fun. I had Thor was sitting right in front of me. And it was, I had to move the camera around because his broadness was making it so I couldn't actually sit there and record. And Gamgee.
Yeah, we were watching a stream, and like half of it was like Thor's shoulder.
Thor's shoulder. All you see was this, and like some like golden locks.
Exactly.
And then you can see like Dry Bear's chin, like in the very little tiny corner. That's
exactly. There are a lot of people had sat, and I didn't want to be right up front holding the camera. I wanted to be sort of back. I didn't want like the whole thing to be about me putting a camera in their face. So, but I sort of at the end of that, I was like, oh my God, I was expecting. And then, Thor, if you're watching this, just let me tell you. It wasn't a joke. I went, go ahead, Thor, you can ask the first questions. And then he goes, well, I got one question for each of you three. I was like,
I shall ask 3 questions.
It is a 3-part, 3-person.
Yeah. He went through that, and I was like, okay, I've got another 10 minutes. I think I can. I was going to say, guys, do you mind? We've got a couple of questions from the community here. Could we ask them? And we're just about to do that, and then they kick us out of the room. They're like,
I feel like as soon as I was watching that, I was watching when Thor was asking questions. I actually started focusing because I knew you were going to ask a whole bunch of questions too. I was actually trying to in your chat. I was adding you and letting you know all the questions that everybody else was asking,
which was awesome. Thank you.
A nice little highlight. And I was like, okay, here we go. Here comes the questions. And I could feel that you were about to. You were just like, and then that was it.
Yeah, I was like, oh, come on. And even but now what was funny is Driver was like, dude, we have this for another 10 minutes. And like, no, that was when you're supposed to be, we're supposed to kick you out so that we have this 10 minutes to clear the room. And I'm like, okay, God.
Another dream hack.
Yeah.
Mess up.
So I'm like, okay, I'm going to try and be Clucked Chicken's reporter on the scene with you and get in their face and ask some questions. So I go out in the back. You saw that I yelled at Thor a little bit. Is joking. I mean, he didn't do it on purpose, but it was funny. And we're not going to talk about the quality of the questions, Thor. So we get outside, and I noticed that Dry Bear didn't come out, and I was like, you know what? I wonder. And I swear to God that I wanted to. I had this sort of Apple one more thing was in my head walking, and I was like, my goal was, could I get him to just give us one small thing?
I thought you were gonna get kicked out.
Oh no, I really did.
I saw you turn back around in that room. I'm like, oh my, back in the freaking room. Here we go.
I was like, you know what? If I don't ask, we've got to find out. So I went over to him, and I honestly expected him to say, well, there's not really that much to go on. And it was, I was trying to plead to him in the best way possible. Dude, you kind of didn't give anybody anything at all about Realm. You gave nothing. I was trying to do that with my eyes, I guess, with pleading puppy dog eyes. And Dry Bear really stepped the hell up right there that second. And he did something that was very, very risky. Very, very just... I didn't expect him to do anything, but this was a really risky thing that he did. Baggins, do you agree that it was very risky?
Well, I mean, obviously there are things that Dry Bear and people like Jay Nash that they know what they could release and what they can't release, and I'm sure they have a bag of secrets that are special secrets, that things that they could, if somebody did ask them or pressure them, they could tell. So I'm sure they have like their own little category. Okay, don't talk about this. You can mention this if someone really asks you. But I still think I was extremely surprised when he started talking, replying to your question without. I thought he was just going to say, hey, I'm not at liberty to discuss anything. So anything that came out of his mouth would have been a bonus. But I think what he said was awesome. To say that it was better than nothing, better than what you had after the dev panel.
Right.
For me, it was like the way he delivered like his answer, because he prefaced it with, all right, this is just between you and me, and you very clearly stuff like that. But it almost seemed like, I was like, when he was answering it, I'm like, is he trolling? Like, is this a troll?
I thought the same.
I wasn't sure. So I was like, okay, well, this is why he's talking about it, because it's a troll. But then the more I thought about it, and the more I remembered what they talk about in the panel, where they want to add more fun things to the map, I was like, okay, maybe he wasn't trolling. Maybe this is actually real.
Yeah, no, it was. I knew actually. I honestly really believed that immediately that when he showed it, when he said it, he was being 100% honest. So when I was like, okay, I think that this is good, I was like, okay, I believe this is a real thing. So what we're going to do is just play an audio clip really quick of what happened so you guys can hear it, and we'll go from there.
Just for a second.
So we walk up to Rory, and
look at all those pretty...
They have all these Xbox, PS4...
I have a quick question for you before we run out. Okay?
No one else can
and this
hear
is
it.
just between you and me.
Just between you and me?
Yes, just
Nobody
between
else.
you. Okay.
So I'm holding a camera, and he knows I'm streaming. So just to let everybody know.
Is there a one more thing, old Apple thing that you can do to us today? Just one small little thing that you can tell us. Just one.
Just between you and me.
Just between you and me.
And no one else listening live.
No one else listening live at all.
Just you and me.
Just you and
Okay.
me.
So one of the things that we're working on, because it's just you and me.
Just you and me.
We are working on, like I said, we keep teasing you with a lot of features, but I think the one that's kind of coming along the most is we are working on adding catapults into the map. And so there would be kind of emplacements around the map that you can use the catapults, and they're not traditionally. What's weird about catapults is you kind of have to have ammo to use them, and there's not any ammo around. So I guess like if you were to kind of like curl up in a ball, you could be ammo if you wanted, right? And so you'd have the ability to launch yourself across the map and then skydive again if you wanted. If maybe you're too far away from the circle, or there's different areas of the map you wanted to get to, or maybe the place you're in is too dense and you want to go somewhere else, you could find one of these said catapults and maybe take a quick
Trip.
across the sky. Yeah, but please don't share that with anyone.
I would never share that with
it's all
anybody.
just
I mean,
private.
seriously, just between you and me. But yes.
Private.
I'm doing nothing. I would never do something like that.
Jay Nash trying to ruin everything. but right there, I mean, like you thought they were trolling, but then I remember Baggins, I did hear you say, "Wow, I think he's telling the truth."
Yeah, I mean, it's like I was like, because they mentioned it earlier on in the panel, like they want to add these things to the map that would make it more fun, sort of like ways to get around the map. And I'm like, well, like, catapult does seem like it would be fun, and it's a way to get around the map.
Yeah. When after that was over, and after I realized it wasn't really, it was actually serious. It wasn't really a troll. I literally did like a real life, but nobody was around me. I was like, Octo, good job, good job.
No, it was cool. And it was a really cool moment, and I didn't get a chance to see the chat. I saw it the other day, and I just saw everybody going, "Wow! Oh my God! What the hell!" And it made people so happy. And I think he knew that was going to happen, but it was really cool. A really cool thing for him to do. And I later on, I shook his hand. I was like, "Man, you no idea how much the community needed that." And he was really, really cool about it. And he was like, we're doing our best. And I really felt that he was very sincere about, we're trying to do our best. We can't tell you everything, because if we don't put it in and you knew about it, you're going to yell at us. So they're in a weird catch-22 situation.
Yep.
After that, we had a pretty good talking with a couple of the folks, and then we went out that night, actually, and we went and hung out at the hotel that everybody was staying at. And it turns out, I mean, I had Thor, I had Jay Nash beside me, I had Mick right there. So Mick was just sitting at the bar where we were all sitting, and we just sat down and started having a talk. And the conversation with Mick was absolutely just amazing. He was just sit back, and he was like, we were having like a human, just regular human having a couple of drinks conversation, and he really loves this game. And he was talking about how they, how he started, like most of the games come from him. He comes up with this sounds like a cool game, shows it off, and people are like, oh, okay, let's build this game. And it seems with like the new game that everybody's not knowing what it is, I think he did that game as well, and he's kind of excited about that too. We didn't spill anything about that, which I wish he would have, but he did start talking about this game, and he started talking about like the tournaments, and a lot of other people started talking about the tournament, about the release time and what was going on. And Mick didn't say this, but we did hear it from another source that Mixer was the one that was supposed to release the information about the tournament. So they had all the information, they had all these banners, they had all this stuff that they were supposed to put up, and it looks like they didn't do it. They dropped the ball. And so Realm had to all of a sudden, as soon as the HRX opened, had to start tweeting it out to say that this thing's actually happening. So it feels like, from everything I'm hearing, that Mixer kind of dropped it, and they Realm was just the Realm team was like, hey, you guys are producing it, you're doing all this stuff. Yeah, I might have been sponsoring it, and then they didn't release it, the information.
Wow. See, my biggest thought about the whole tournament aspect was if they told people about it even that week before, a couple of days before, they would have had a much, much, much larger turnout, and they would have had people who were, people more dedicated to the game. Someone maybe like Gentle Giant or other hardcore players who do enjoy this game currently. Not only new players that are going to try to get into the game, but you already have a hardcore fan base that could have gone and would have gone had they know this was happening extra.
Well, I do want to say this tournament was never meant for people like you, people like me, Baggins. It wasn't meant for Thor. It wasn't meant for any of those. The whole idea of the whole thing was, hey, get a bunch of people that have never played Realm Royale before, get them in here, play some games, have some fun, get them. Oh, hey, get them practicing, get them ready, have a little tournament for them. I think the money was a little bit too much, but
I was about to say I completely understand that. I believe that 100%. But then you don't put $25,000 on the line, because if you put $25,000 on the line, then it is for people like me, and it is like for people like Giant, because there's money on the line.
Yeah.
That was my biggest hiccup. Was it for the new players, because it was also a big chunk of money there, so I don't know what they're trying to do. It's like they're trying to do both at the same time. But
I think it's some sort of lost in translation thing. Like they had they were like, okay, we want to do a tournament for Realm Royale game. We get to HRX, and then probably some executive higher up was like, let's put $25,000 on the line. I'm like, well, okay, Mr. Boss Man. I thought it would just be for the new players. He's like, $25,000. Like, okay, I guess we'll go with it. And that just suddenly throws a big spanner in the works. But yeah, that's they got to do what they're told from higher up. So
they were also talking about the simple fact that the name Founders Tournament that went through a lot of iterations, because of the fact that they were like, well, it's not really the Founders, but they're like, but it has more hype name to it. It sounds better than the HiRez Expo or DreamHack Realm Royale tournament. So they were trying to get a big name for it, and they had already gotten all this stuff, and it just was like, a lot of people were like, I don't know why we named it this. But that's what happened.
I personally, was, and I'm not like a tier player or a super professional player for Realm. I do play a lot of it, but if calling it the Founders Tournament, I would have tried to at least get the money together to go myself, just to be a part of that, just to be a part of the Founders Tournament, because that name does imply it's like, wow, well, I have been playing since early alpha, so I kind of want to be a part of that. My personal opinion, I was a little bit upset about it. Not like I don't hate HiRez, I'm not super butthurt, but I probably would have gotten some money together to go myself if I knew that was also happening.
Baggins, anything to add?
I mean, yeah, I agree. It's a little bit disappointing. I know, obviously, what you said. It's not entirely on them. There was obviously some sponsors and the organizations that were involved that dropped the ball. But as somebody who has, I've been playing Realm and even before it was Realm, Paladins Battleground since its earliest inception. I stuck to this game from the very start. I was streaming the game. I would wait until they turn the servers on in the morning, because back then the servers weren't on all the time. They would turn them on to test. I would wait 2 hours in the queue until enough people are online to get a lobby.
and then you would run around the game. And Paladins champions.
No, this was when it was the first version of Realm Royale.
Okay.
But before the class system. And it was all kind of bugs, but it's like I've been here since the very start, and I like to imagine that I've been here for every step of Realm, and I've seen every step of Realm, and I'm proud of that. And now I can't say I was part of that part of Realm Royale's history.
The Founders, yeah.
I wasn't told about it, and that's pretty upsetting. That cuts me pretty deep that nobody wanted to tell me or get me out there, or even give me the opportunity to get myself out there. I missed out on a bit of Realm history because of that, and that's pretty upsetting. But what can you do?
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that was the big thing for people, and I know it's just like it's gotta hurt. And I honestly felt guilty when I was in there because yes, I mean I've been there since public beta, so I've been there for a decent time, and I've been through the highs and the lows. It's not anywhere near what you are, and I felt guilty because Giants and the all the folks were not into it and in it, and I was just like, ugh.
I started playing with Octo. We met the second day of open beta or open alpha on Steam, and I was upset that I wasn't able to go and be a part of it. So also to second Octo, I could only imagine, Baggins, if I was in your shoes, I would honestly. Now it's just the name of a tournament, the Founders Tournament, but it means something. That's what they named it that for a reason. So that would really bother me too.
Yeah, if they just called it, like the mediocre realm tournament,
Yeah, exactly.
You could win like one of those pins, then it wouldn't feel as bad. But the fact that they put all the money into what they named it, and and they streamed it and everything, like I don't know. It's it's obviously some disappointments we had.
So while talking with Mick, I did sort of talk to him about, he started opening up, and I'm not going to say anything because he was talking to a few other people there. But it was like of ideas of things that they could do within Realm that they're sort of looking at. Now, he gave me an example that he said they're not thinking about this, but it's there's ideas around exactly this. So imagine NPCs. Imagine being in the graveyard. And imagine if some of the actual boxes, chests, went away. So there's a lot less. But there are ghost NPCs floating around, and if you kill them, you get loot from them. You have to chase them around a little bit, but go after these ghosts, kill them, and they're sort of loot boxes instead. So adding these type of NPCs that you can interact with to get your loot versus chests.
Yeah, somebody suggested a similar mechanic. They put it on Reddit with a really ugly like Microsoft Paint drawing that went along with it. But it was like these spiders that hide in the fungal forest mushroom, and when you shoot them, armor potions fall off of them or fall out of them or something gross. But I was like, man, that would be really cool. That would be an interesting way to get a resource that is badly needed into the game in a less RNG fashion. So stuff like that, I'm all for it. Hopefully we could move past. I don't know how else you implement it, but like the state of like there's an NPC in the game, how do you interact with it? Well, you shoot it is like, I don't know, like
there's got to be other ways.
It's just going to be multiple versions of the loot goblin where you just shoot this thing and stuff comes out of it, like a different way to implement it. But I think the idea is cool. I do think that the loot goblin is he's a cool concept, and I'd like to see more of that stuff. It's kind of weird. Like, I mean, it's the whole thing with Realm. Like, everything that you would expect wouldn't work in a Battle Royale works in Realm Royale for some reason. Like, the idea of resurrecting your teammates is just bonkers. Like, trying to think about that in PUBG or Fortnite would be broken, but it works in Realm.
Yeah.
So
it does. Yeah. And two things that I want. Two things. One of the things that he definitely said was it's very hard. They want to always remember that this is a Battle Royale. Okay, they don't want to get away from the fact that it's a battle royale and add stuff in it that take away from, hey, I'm trying to be the last person standing, I kill everybody else. They want to keep that in there. But the end of the day, they're thinking of a lot of stuff. Like we were just spitballing, having fun. Like we were all like becoming little designers there while we were drinking, and we were like, is there like a possibility to have like a in League of Legends, the Baron Nashor type thing. Is it possible to do that? And they're like, well, that doesn't really work because you couldn't do it in solos, stuff like that. So they have thought about some of these things, and it's very interesting where they're going. And two Baggins, we really, really, really need to help you with this potion addiction that you have.
Yeah. I don't understand how more people don't have it. It's the withdrawal symptoms are severe, man. I mean,
I always have in my back
pocket. Ever been hit by a fire throwing axe when you don't have any potions on you? Holy flip. Oh, man.
See, I always have one of these things called the I don't know, armor rune that sort of gives you armor. I don't know. I always seem to have one of those. So
Yeah, this is pretty good. I've heard.
yeah,
I don't know.
You
I
just
wouldn't know.
play
I
as a
don't get
mage.
most of my games, but yeah.
You just play as a mage and hit every forge you find.
That's exactly
Every forge
it.
in the game.
Just don't do anything other than go to forges. 15 shots
You
forge.
have-
15 shots
you have
forge.
a gray sword and a gray pistol, but you have just all the armor potions in the game.
So, but anyways, sitting with Mick was absolutely amazing. He was just sort of talking about these type of small things, like how the game came about, talking about sort of the tournaments, some of the issues that they're having. Like it was a great conversation with him. And I got to give him a heads up. He was just sitting there. He was talking with all the people around there, just jib-jabbing, and talking about Realm. And he's really into it. And the amount of stuff that they're sort of, and he was looking in my eyes, sort of pleading. He's like, "Dude, trust me, we got some really cool stuff." And I actually brought up the question, "Hey, what about this sort of, Dry Bear posted this thing about there's a timeline, there's a roadmap. Please tell me about this roadmap." And Dry Bear said this to me. He says, "Honest to God, that was a cover sheet of a PowerPoint presentation that I was giving to the rest of the team, and this roadmap is to show us everything that's going on from 2019, the things that we're supposed to work on." Okay, he said, "Listen, it's talking about how we're going to get on a schedule of releases, talking about all the fun things that we're going to be putting out, how they're going to go, when they're going to go, and things that they're going to work on." The whole idea of this was, guys, look, we're working on stuff. We've got a roadmap. There's things that we're going to do. We weren't necessarily going to show you the roadmap. We just wanted to say, hey, guess what, guys? We're working on a roadmap so that that we're working on stuff in the future. And I think that kind of backfired a little bit. Everybody's like, what's on the roadmap? What's on the roadmap? And they're like, we can't show you the roadmap. There's a lot of stuff in here. There's a lot of little things in here you can't see. And I think what he was trying to do was opposite from what we were thinking he was trying to do. But it was very interesting. Him and Mick both looked me in the eye, and there was this passion behind it of, there's so much here we want to tell you, we just can't do it because of the fact that it's not all tested, it's not all ready, and we can't tell you, because if we do tell you and we don't put it out, you're going to murder us. That's basically the look both of them gave me. And
I think the biggest thing they need to do is they need to rework the roadmap and make a public release version where they have a few things that they know they're going to be putting in and they're going to be working on that they could release to the public, so that there is a roadmap that people can see, because the consumer base needs to be able to see that there is some sort of forward progression in planning, or in that's in process. So I understand that they have their own little developer roadmap, and that there's a lot of stuff on that nobody else is allowed to see. That makes perfect sense. I hope they have that, but I think they need to release a public version of that where they take away all the little tiny stuff they're not sure about, and only keep the big chunks of stuff that they know they're going to be working on, then they know they're going to be adding, so people can actually see that, okay, there is a roadmap. And it just gives people one less thing to complain about,
Baggins, your thoughts?
I mean, yeah, just much the same. I think I understand the whole you can't spoil anything because you don't know what is guaranteed going to be in the game, and stuff is subject to change. But I feel like there's got to be some elements that are surely almost entirely nailed down. Hey, we know in the next patch we're gonna nerf the fire venom pistol. We're gonna deal something with this. Don't even be. You could be pretty vague. Just something to know that there is gonna be. I know they wanted to show. I mean, we make the assumption though, they have a roadmap. It's well, yeah, we know you're working on the game. Otherwise, I don't know. That's your job. We just want to know what you're working on, what is happening behind the closed doors. You don't even have to be just the catapult thing. Something pretty vague like that would have been great. The fact that you had to go up and find him behind closed doors to get that piece of information. If not for that, we wouldn't have known anything about what could be in the next patch. So
we would join the game like the loot goblin. We'd join a game one day and we would just see some person flying through the sky being shot out by a trebuchet. Like, oh, well, that's new.
Yeah.
I think that the whole like the loot goblin thing, like they announced that was pretty cool, but I feel like they should have announced it and then made it live at the same time rather than making it live the day before. That almost like spoiled the one thing that would have been cool that they announced.
So Mick was the person that actually pushed the button on that, and this
Yeah.
is and I asked him, Mick, did that go wrong? And he says, actually, no, it didn't go wrong. We put it out because we had to test it. We had to make sure that it worked in real life. We had to get it out on the servers to see if it would work. And if it didn't work, they'd pull it and then pull it out of the announcement. And I was
Man.
oh,
Can you imagine what that announcement would have been?
oh my God,
Even smaller.
Yeah,
God.
so I don't know why they didn't put it on the PTS live, but at the end of the day, yeah, that's what happened. Nobody was on the PTS, and that's why they didn't do that either. So, and I doubt if they would have said, "Hey, the Loot Goblins live on PTS," that many people would get in there. So it's just like they did what he could do, but it just didn't. I was like, oh, come on! If they would have said it and then it would have been live, that would have been awesome. Like, oh my God, the Loot Goblin! Okay, we would have been happy, but yeah. The last thing that I did talk about with Mick is console. We're talking about it, and there's something that I didn't know about this whole thing is you can't actually be in beta and put your software through the certification through Xbox and PS4. So you can't be in alpha. You have to be in beta.
Alpha, you mean?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Alpha,
I'm sorry. You can't be in alpha. You have to be in beta. That I didn't know.
I think all of the different platforms have like some varying degree of that. I think it was the same with Nintendo Switch. They like for the longest time, I don't know, maybe you guys don't play too much Paladins, but Paladins was in beta for like what felt like forever.
Yeah.
And then suddenly out of the blue, it was like, oh, the game's going full release. And it did like it seemingly came out of nowhere. And then very shortly afterwards, it was like, and the game is going to be on Switch. And it turned out that the reason why one of the reasons why it went into full release so abruptly is because you can't have a game in beta apparently on the Switch. I don't know if that's changed since.
Yeah. I think that's the case.
The game has to be full release. Like Nintendo only take pristine full packages, and I think Microsoft and Sony have a similar thing, but it's not alpha. So they'll take like kind of straggly half finished games. But
yeah, no, exactly. Yeah. So that's what happened, and then it made sense to me because that's why the beta pack is there. The beta pack is sitting in there because it's the full beta release. And you've said this multiple times, Baggins. It's that thing is sitting in our thing. They just need to turn the switch on PC, but they can't make any changes to that until they've got the approval, and then they can start making these other patches to, for console and PC at the same time, because you can't have a release on Xbox that doesn't talk to the release on PC.
Yeah, it's an interesting, like it's cool that they've like gone for this crossplay, like this big, it's pretty lofty challenge of like having crossplay on all their games, but it's going to make patching so much more difficult because it used to be, you have the version of the game on PC, you have the version of the game on the Xbox, so you patch the game on PC and then you send off certification and maybe the same patch will arrive on console, a week or two later, but it doesn't cause any issues that just console get their stuff a little bit later. But now they have to be at the same time, otherwise it breaks crossplay, and then probably the server's set on fire. So
some developers even have their own little mini teams that work. Okay, this team's for Xbox only, this team's for Sony, and this team is for PC, and they'll work on getting the patches out as soon as they can. Once PC goes, generally PC is usually first. Also, while we're talking about the beta pack. I'm going to voice my opinion and say I doubt it's going to happen. I said this before. I hope us people who have the alpha pack already purchased and went and purchased that get the beta pack on PC, but I doubt it's going to be that way.
I doubt very serious.
But I mean, it only makes sense to me. If you buy the alpha pack, obviously we've been here for alpha, so we should get the beta pack, I feel, for free included.
But did anybody notice that you no longer have your alpha spray?
I did not notice that. I never spray.
Yeah.
No, I haven't changed my spray in a while. I
The-
keep forgetting about that thing.
Basically, what ends up happening is they replace the alpha spray with the beta spray. You no longer own it anymore. Now you only own the beta spray.
Oh,
Maybe that's something they might go back in retroactively and add. I don't know.
Yeah,
It sounds like
yeah.
a problem though.
Yeah, it was just something that I saw. So, but yeah, so that was, I mean, got to have a really good conversation with Mick, and it was really nice to be able to sit down with him. And if he ever listens to this, man, it's really good being able to sit down and just have a human conversation about a fun, great game you guys are making. Baggins, I want to be thoughtful of your time because I know it's really late here and we still got a lot to talk about. Would you be? I think we could probably end this and like finish the rest of it up next week if anybody's okay with that. I don't know if you'd be here, Baggins, but I don't want you to go to sleep on us right here.
Nah, I appreciate it, man. Yeah, I do need to get off in time. Also, I really need to go pee as well. So
Okay, well then, what we'll
I
do?
thought I'd share that information as well, just to make it seem more pressing.
That's
thanks. I was worried about your bladder, Baggins.
Yeah,
There's a lot of people in chat I can tell as well. So
yeah, they need to know these type of things. So, guys, seriously, everybody, thank you so much for hanging around. It was really fun being able to have these conversations, talk about HRX. Next week, what we'll do is we will continue this conversation. We'll talk about the tournament. We'll talk about what's coming up that we know in patch 14 and all these things. But if you don't know, we have Baggins and Donut here. Guys, you want to talk about how they can reach you, find you on your interweb fun places?
Go ahead, Baggins. You go first.
well, I mean, you've got the links provided, but obviously for audio listeners, I'm on Twitch. It's Baggins_TV because somebody took BagginsTV. I don't know. Twitter, BagginsTV. YouTube, BagginsTV. I mean, you just search for the Baggins in the TV, and I'll hopefully show up if my SEO is
Look for the
done right.
hair.
Look for the hair.
Yeah.
Yep.
You guys, like, the hair needs to be at least 3 inches off the forehead, and then you know you found me.
For me, mine's a little bit more complicated because apparently Donut is an extremely popular name, I guess. But on Twitter, you can find me at twitter.com/LO_donut_OL because I'm edgy and cool, like when Xbox Live first came out. Twitch, twitch.tv/LO_donut_OL.
And you guys could just find me at OctoOG everywhere because nobody thought about that name, and I'm just too damn cool.
Lucky you.
Everybody, what we'll do is I'm going to end the stream here in just a second, and then I will come back and I will give away a Xbox code and a PS4 code in the chat. So don't go anywhere. But everybody, seriously, thank you so much for tuning in. Baggins, Donut, both of you guys, thank you so much for coming around tonight and having this conversation. I know Baggins is really late for you. Thank you so much. Tell Gamgee thank you.
Hey, it was good fun. Thank you for having me on, guys.
It was a pleasure having you, Baggins. I really do appreciate you coming on and taking time to talk to us.
Yeah, so everybody, thank you so much. It was an amazing time. Everybody have a great night, and we shall talk to you the next time. TTFN.